Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I am your host, Al Richards. Hey, today we have a special guest. Our guest today is Kris Rudarmel, right? I said that right.
It's close.
Okay, it's close enough, or is it Rudarmel? Is it
Rudarmel.
Oh, Rudarmel. See, yeah, I would have never picked that up.
Everyone pronounces it right.
This episode, today we're going to talk about self-love, self-care, and combating addiction, which I think is going to be a really, really good topic. And I just want to introduce Janessa. Janessa, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to have you. And we want to say thank you to our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health. So guys, thank you so much for all your love and your support. We couldn't be doing all this without you. Kris, oh my gosh, you and I met, I believe, at a networking group 7 years ago, 6 years ago. I believe it was at Noah's. I think that's the first time I met you was at Noah's, because you got up and spoke. I think you told a little bit of your story about your business. And I had no clue that you had battled the addiction part of things. And of course, you and I are friends with Javine. Mm-hmm. And she actually reached out to me and says, hey, you know Kris, you should reach out to Kris. And
it was Javine.
So Javine is the one, yeah. So sorry, Javine, I just threw you under the bus. But yeah, she's the one that brought up that I should reach out to you and have you come on and tell your story. And I was reading a little bit on your bio, and I think it's really cool, and we talked a little bit about it at the start of the show, how self-care is so important, and not just for those who have battled addiction. It's something that all of us need to really think about. You know, and I think we've had some people on the show go, yeah, when I first started thinking about self-care, I felt guilty. Mm-hmm. I felt really guilty that I'm going out and doing something for myself. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why? And when I started learning about self-care umpteen years ago, when I was working on changing myself to become somebody better than who I thought I was a good person before, and now I look back and I'm like, I wasn't even close to being like who I am today, and I'm still continue to work on myself. But I'm like, all right, self-care, I'm gonna go get a massage once a month. And I've done it for the past 6 years. I go get a massage once a month. That's my self-care. That's my treat to me, going, I deserve this, damn it.
Yeah. Well, there's so much guilt around it, especially for women, for moms.
Yeah.
There's so much guilt that we just feel guilty putting ourselves first.
Yeah, well, I thought when I first heard of self-care, I was like, oh, I got this. I can eat a pint of ice cream and Netflix binge all day long. Like, I got this. I'll be pro. I already do it. Are you kidding me? And then when I started researching more into it, it's like, nah, that's not it.
That's not the one.
Like, dang it, it's a lot harder than that. But like the whole concept was just so foreign to me. Like, and then I felt guilty when I actually found out what it was. So, but yeah.
So what really started getting you thinking more about self-care? And again, just go into who you are, you know, definitely bring up like the addiction. Was it the addiction that also started making you realize something's got to change and you got to start taking care of yourself?
So I drank for 39 years up until almost 4 years ago, and I ran a successful business with my husband. It was easy to run a business with my husband because I was being seen for the business and my husband, not for myself. My own company now that I run, I tend to like to hide. I don't like to be seen like this and different things.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know they saw me grow. They watched me move forward and grow within my husband's company, Anchor, but I still wasn't there 100%. Mm-hmm. And when I had to do something scary, I did the first few Facebook Lives with a few shots of Jaeger or tequila because I just couldn't push that button. Just couldn't do it. And I had to do it to do water damage and carpet cleaning videos. And so I drank all those years. 4 years ago, it was to the point where I wasn't an everyday drinker, and I'm not even sure if I'm considered an alcoholic, but I couldn't control my alcohol. So we'd go out with friends or go to the bar every couple of weeks, and I would drink I couldn't stop. So I'd have 6 or 9 beers and couldn't stop. And I started doing embarrassing stuff and embarrassing the people around me, our friends, my husband, just embarrassed myself when I found out what I did. And then I was having 3 to 4 day hangovers. It was ruining my life or my everyday life because I just couldn't function. Well, the reason is because I have uncontrolled diabetes, and I've had one foot in the grave. Probably I've had uncontrolled diabetes for over 25 years and one foot in the grave the last several with other autoimmune diseases and stuff, but it wasn't enough to make me stop until 4 years ago. I realized all my personal growth that I'd done since I started in 2005. I hit this peak where I realized, because I'd been working on low self-worth. I had dad issues and just really just self-sabotaged and self-doubt and listened to that mean girl voice all the time. And I realized there was one more step. I had a lot of fear still, a layer of fear. And we had just won our 19th award in 10 years. And several of those awards, I think it was up to award 8. I just didn't feel like I deserved them. Wow. I just was so embarrassed. And these were huge awards. They were local, and then the last few were national and international. These were huge recognitions for a woman business owner, and I just didn't feel like I deserved it. So I started 4 years ago. I realized I had to quit drinking, and a piece of me, it was sad because I thought that's the only way I could have fun. And I realized that wasn't true. And we still hang out with friends that drink, and it's really hard, but I
can imagine.
And I realized after I quit drinking that I still was missing that piece of self-love, self-care. I wasn't putting my oxygen mask on first. I felt a lot of guilt, even though my kids were grown. I have my husband's home. We have 2 businesses. I still had a lot of guilt. And I started researching and seeing what I could do to change my path. And so the next step was creating a morning routine. And that's really helped me. I didn't go to AA to get off alcohol. I haven't had to. I created my own system, and I call it Winning My Morning. I'm kind of nervous. And so I jotted down some of the things I do because I'm sure it'll help.
Okay.
First of all, I try to get all my waters in. You do half your weight. So I go for 100 ounces a day. And I feel, right when I get up, I fill up my mug, my 32-ounce mug to start that. I walk out in nature at least 15 minutes a day. I do a visualization. I do Kundalini yoga. That really helps with addiction. I use prayer. I've just started strength training because I couldn't even walk up and down stairs because it's really embarrassing, but just not taking care of myself all these years. Yeah. I don't have a lot of muscle in my legs. In mid-50s, I knew I needed to do something. And then I do TM, Transcendental Meditation. I do that 20 years. Their guideline is 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. I do 20 minutes in the morning right now, and that works for me.
Awesome.
And then I also schedule myself an artist date. So The Artist's Way, it's an amazing book, and Julia Cameron, the author, gives you a lot of different exercises to do. And it was life-changing for me to start scheduling 1 hour a week, having an artist date. So I go in my art room, create whatever you want to create, but it's just me and the table and my paintbrushes and the art. No kids, no husband, no pets, nothing. And you just sit and create, and that was a great first start for self-care.
And I think you have some talent in that, because I've seen some of your pictures posted on social media.
Yeah, I just started sharing. I've been painting for 40 years, but I just started sharing it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, wow. You definitely have some talent there, so that
Thanks.
Is so cool that you're doing that.
And all my art is inspirational. I use words have changed my life, the power of words. So I have inspirational quotes, motivational stuff on all my art.
Wow.
To just help shift and change lives.
That is really cool. And just so our listeners know, I think having a morning routine is one of the best things you can do for yourself. Because I started doing that quite a few years ago as well. I went to a seminar, and that's one of the things that they brought up was you should have a morning routine. And I've done to where, I have my prayer there for umpteen years. I wrote down in a journal. A lot of times I'd write down what I was grateful for from the day before, write down things that I want to visualize, what I want to manifest. Now I've changed it up to where I still have my morning prayer. Then I'm doing my best to get it up to 10 minutes of meditation. So I'm like, I did it 10 minutes once, but then I realized my brain wasn't really focusing. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go to 5 right now.
It's
just
good
for
to
5.
start small.
And it's really starting to work. And if I happen not to fit it in there, when I go to the gym after my workout and I do either the massage chair, or in the wintertime, I do like 9 minutes in the tanning bed, that is my time to do my meditation, my focus. I shut the radio off, or I'll take my earplugs out, whatever it is, and just to try to focus.
Do you have a straight 10 minutes, or does your mind still wander?
No, I'm getting better to where now a lot of times, even when I get in there and I'll start it, a lot of times I'm doing it at the kitchen bar, and I'll do it right after I say my prayers. And now I have a declaration that I say. I do a declaration in the morning.
Those are
and
important.
At night. But I'll be doing it, and sometimes I'll start going off, but I'll catch it and I'll bring myself back in.
And that's the whole goal.
It is.
Because
Yeah.
I've been doing it for going on 4 years, and I started with 1 minute, and my monkey mind is crazy.
Yeah.
So 1 minute, and I'm up to 20, but don't think I'm in pure state of consciousness. I'm not.
Yeah.
I have to continually bring myself back, but that's how we do it.
That is
It's
part
just-
of it. Yeah.
That's how I am.
'Cause-
Constantly bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
Because you'll, and it's probably the same way it was with you, Kris, is I'll open up my eyes and then I'll look at the clock and I'll go, oh my gosh, I went like 8 minutes. It didn't even seem like 8 minutes. It was so cool, you know. And then there's other times, like this morning. I think this morning I went like 4 minutes, but it felt like I was there for 10.
That's good. That means it's
But
working.
I still did it. And then when I went to the gym after my workout, and I always take time for stretching, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take my earbuds out, and I set it down, got the little pad or the floor thing, and put it up against the wall, and I just sat there and I can't cross my legs because of my bad hip, but I brought my feet together to stretch, and I just sat there and just zoned and just chill out to try to bring a little bit more in. But I think that morning routine is very important for every one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that space, so I should have looked up the statistics on how many addicts, because it's not just drugs and alcohol, sex, shopping. There's, I don't know how many, but there's tons of addictions. Phone, social, the scrolling on social media, shopping, gambling, there's tons. And so many of us addicts, we have that monkey mind, or we have all of the stimuli that's going on around us, whether it be relationships, the world chaos, money problems, just everything that we deal with. We have this stimuli, and then we have the response. And there's a small space in between those two, and I never had a small space. I was just those two, but normally I would react to the response before I even was finished with, and I had dealt with so much fear and self-sabotage and self-doubt and insecurities, and it ruled my life. And now with this meditation with TM, I've realized, or I'm aware of, when I don't do it, I've been consistent now for 3 months.
Wow.
I was skipping. I was trained in TM a year ago, and it's I now realize how important, because now I'm in that, I can get in that space, and I'm fighting, like I still to this day still fight beer. I love beer, and ice cold beer, especially on my patio of peace in the summer. I have an amazing patio with flowers and beauty, and it's rough to not go out on a Friday afternoon and have an ice cold beer.
Oh, I bet.
So I bought some pretty glasses. I have ice water or whatever. Boring, but but I know now if I can get in that space, and now it's working with my food. I know I joined an addiction program 3 years ago for food, a food addiction program.
Wow.
Got my diabetes under control for the first time in my life. I got off flour and sugar for 8 months, and It was amazing. And so I know I'm on my way to get back there now, because I have that little space that we need to be able to get our minds into that state of pure consciousness. And with breath work, and I do energy field work and quantum, just all that kind of fun stuff. It's all new to me the last several months, and it's changing my life.
And that's something that I think is really starting to grasp there's more and more people who are starting to see the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And they're starting to, more people are coming out where they're helping you, they're training you and different things, and they've got all these different classes. My wife likes to go to this class that a crystal place in South Salt Lake likes to hold. It's like 4700 South, and I'm not for sure. It's just east of State Street.
Yeah. The old house.
Yeah, the old house, yeah. So they hold a class once a month, and she likes to go to that, and it's like a meditation, and she's never been one for meditation. Even when she was going through recovery, they tried that stuff, and she's like, yeah, it ain't for me. I don't like it. And then when she asked me, hey, I'm going to go to this meditation thing, you want to go with me? I'm like, what? Are you feeling okay? Are you all right? But and it's this Sunday, and she's like, hey, it's Father's Day, I know, but would you like to go to this with me? And it's like, I'll do everything I can. If you want me to go with you, I'll go with you. But just to see how much she's even starting to realize how much it's helping. And there is so many different health benefits and mind benefits that come about it, or come with it.
And there's also a new place just opened the last several months in West Jordan Landing. It's called Awesome Relaxation. So I bought a membership there, and I can go as many times as I want. They're open from 10 to 9, but they give you access. You can go in there 24 hours a day. The owner, I can't remember her name, but she has cancer, and she has all these healing modalities. Now legally you can't say,
of course,
but oh my gosh, between the massage chairs, they have a salt room, the halo room where you get in there with salt, which helps lungs. Just tons and tons. A Sedona bed. There's a bed for my neuropathy, or not a bed, a machine for my neuropathy for my feet. All this stuff for such an amazing price every month. I tell you the price, but I pay $75 a month. I got it a few months ago. I'm pretty sure that's still their same price to use all her stuff in this.
That's
and
cool.
So if you can find ways to help you relax and just take that pause and feel that calm, it just really helps our brains slow down.
And one thing I want to throw out there, so like we said, or I said at the beginning of the show, that we met 6-7 years ago. It probably was even longer than that, probably even 8. You meet people for the first time, and you see them at other networking groups. I've seen you around in different things. I think I ran into you once at a
We did
coffee.
ribbon cuttings.
Your ribbon cuttings.
At Village, I think we saw you at Village Baker.
Village Baker. And then I was having a meeting with Javine at a coffee place in Sandy there, right across where her husband Jeff works, and ran into you. But you see people, and I knew that you were a successful businesswoman. Just from your talks and hearing how even some of the awards at the time. And I'm like, man, this woman, she's freaking sharp. She has her shit together. She really does. But then you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And that's why I think it's really important for all of us to not be so quick to even judge, even if you see someone that doesn't look so successful, because again, you have no clue what battles they are fighting. I mean, I was with my wife 3 years, dated her for 3 years, and knew some of her history and her past. Still decided, okay, I'm going to try marriage one more time. I'm going to give it another shot, but still didn't know the depths of the darkness that was buried so deep inside of her. I had no clue, and just things happened in life after we got married. I like to say when I do my speaking events, it's like, 2009, my wife and I got married, and it's supposed to be the happiest time of your life. Well, our lives went to shit, and people usually get a kick out of it. But I'm like, no, I'm serious. Yeah, literally. Because I lost my job right after we got married, and then she lost her dad to an overdose right after that, and then a year after that, we lost our house. That was her tipping point. Everything she had held for so many years inside,
snapped.
It
finally broke, and it took so long to go through everything that we've gone through, and Janessa even knows. I mean, for us to even be together with our spouses, with what both of us have gone through, in my eyes, it's still a miracle.
Yeah, I always look back at our wedding pictures, and I'm like, we didn't even know each other. We were just...
You thought you did.
I know, it's
we
crazy.
were just running away from our situations. Like,
how long have you been married?
10 years now. So, but yeah, we were just running away from situations, and we found each other, and
Yeah.
like it made it work. But like I look
Yeah.
back and I'm like, studies and everything say we should have been divorced.
Well, I got
forever
married
ago.
at 18. I was 18 for a month and a half and got married. He
Oh
was
my
20.
goodness.
And we've been married 39 years this year.
Wow.
And we've worked together for 27.
Congratulations.
And we're both still alive. I can't believe I'm not here now.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
The
That
axe is
is
still in
really
the closet.
The pan in the cupboard.
The pen in the cupboard. Yeah, I think I
And
opened.
he feels the same way. He would sit, it's not. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think I opened up the closet door and looked at that axe quite a few times and went, that's probably not the best way to go. and I'm
today.
just saying that jokingly, not seriously, but
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go back, I mean, I would have never ever thought that you had battled these certain issues, and it's crazy when you do start talking about it. So when I first started sharing about my wife's alcoholism, and I'm probably sure you probably know the majority of the people that have come to me, but I won't say their names on the show. But when I started sharing, people started pulling me off the side at networking groups and going, "Hey, have you got a minute? Can I chat with you privately?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they'd pull me off to the side. They're like, "Hey, I don't know if you knew, but I used to be an addict." And you're like, "What?
Yeah.
Are you serious? I've known you for 8 years." And people started, and I started realizing really, really quick, you have no clue who people are.
Yeah.
You really don't, and I like to consider myself good friends with a lot of these people, male and female, had no clue they struggled with what they struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, again, I think it's very important that we all look at each other with love and treat everyone with a velvet glove, really, because you don't know what people are going through.
It's helped me be more understanding, like when you go to the grocery store or wherever, gas station or eating out, and you have someone ornery. I was a negative I saw the cup half empty for my entire life. And it's been an eye-opener the last few years to now realize that everybody's going through something.
Oh, yeah.
And there's so many different areas of life. And now I try to tell, I have 2 kids that are married now, and I try to remind them when they come complaining about someone this bad experience, you guys don't know. They could have just lost a child. They could have, and I put all those scenarios in my head, and it's really brought in the compassion. I was always empathetic. Like one funny thing with my husband and I working together, 2 way different people. I'm very detail oriented, and he's not. And so there were a lot of things we had to do to work it out, and he was not a happy man. And I want to say the first few months, but I'm sure it was the first few years, he finally said, "Do you think you can quit crying on the phone with a customer?" I'm like, "I am sorry." Because I was the one taking calls. This is before we had employees. He'd be out doing the work. And he said, "I know, but it's embarrassing because I get there." And it was embarrassing for him, not the customer.
Yeah.
And because, males and their ego. And he said, "Do you think you can just quit crying?" And I said, "I know, but these last 4 customers were dying of cancer, and they're on hospice, and here their house flooded." It was very traumatic for me because I know how annoying our big air movers and everything is. And it just annoys people. And then here we have these people dying. And oh my gosh, finally, I was able to get control of my emotions. But the compassion and what we do and how we help people, we just need to remember, we just don't know what people are going through.
Yep. I would definitely give that one 2 thumbs up because we don't.
Yeah, well, and you look at them, and because you're like, yeah, it's not okay for him to treat you like that, and you don't let him, but you don't look at him as a villain or a bad guy or the enemy. You just look at him like, I wonder what you're going through.
Yeah.
And just changing that view of seeing them as a person, not like the black and white, you're bad, you're this. It's like, no, they're going through something hard. I'm not going to let you treat me like that, but I'm not going to look at you as the devil. So.
I've known people, matter of fact, a family member that's really rude to people, especially if they had to wait or just lash out on them. and I remember I used to be that same way as well, because that's what I grew up around, is also thinking, oh, this is how you're supposed to treat people if things don't quite go your way. It's not their way, it's your way. When you can be rude and ignorant to somebody, that, like you just said, that person could have just lost a child or just been diagnosed with a terminal disease or whatever it may be. Man, all you're doing is you're just freaking just stabbing more
Making
knife
it
blades
worse.
inside of them, and you're just hurting them even more.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've realized this working with my husband, working with him for, it's been 27 or 28 years. It feels like 100, but it's all right. During that time, like it's just been, I started speaking about 7 years ago, and it was during that time that I realized, what can I do? Actually, I read a blog from Richard Paul Evans. Funny, we're in the...
Yeah, we're in Richard Paul Evans.
And he wrote a
building.
blog on how can I make your day better, to his wife. They were having issues. And I used that, and my husband thought I'd lost my mind. I'd gone to him, and, we were struggling working together and getting irritated. And I went to one morning, and I said, what can I do to make your day better? And he looked at me like I was nuts. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I read a blog on this. I'm going to try it on you. I'm sure it'll work. And I don't remember what he said. But I did it for a few weeks just to change. And I finally realized, you get used to being around your husband, the family, the kids. We don't treat them as nice as we do the neighbors. Our voice is different on the phone. And I started realizing, so I pass out inspirational quotes. Dang it, I didn't bring you guys one. I haven't done it since COVID.
I think I have one of yours from a networking
the laminated
thing.
ones.
Yep,
So I used to
laminated.
pass out 300 a month at least.
Wow.
I spent a lot of my time at night laminating these goofy quotes. But where was I going with that? Oh, I used to pass those out. And then I made this quote, and I don't know the author, but it was, what we appreciate appreciates. And I realized I need to take that and use that for myself towards Frank, because I'm not showing him, we don't show each other enough appreciation. And appreciation is so important.
Yeah.
Especially now, there's so much awful stuff going on. And it's just important to either write a little note or text someone and just, just do something little like that, and people just really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to where that's part of self-care as well. Is that appreciation, right? Because it makes you feel better.
Yeah, and
right?
you have to appreciate yourself.
Yeah, you have to appreciate yourself.
I don't think you can do it too much either.
No, you're right. There is no tipping point with it.
Even with your spouse, that you're with them so often, and you're like, oh, you already know that I love you, or you know that I'm grateful.
You
It's
just
like,
assume.
why do I need to tell you again? It's like, no, it's so validating and healing, and I don't know, they need to be reminded, and you need to be
validating
reminded.
is so important.
It is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, and how many of us, which is, I'm sure it's a large percent, grow up trying to get that validation from our parents.
Yeah.
I talked about before the show, I was constantly always working to try to make my dad proud. Not once in my whole life do I ever remember any one of my parents telling me that they're proud of me.
Wow.
And I was always looking for that validation, thinking, oh, I need to do more, because they still haven't told me. That's one thing I wanted to make sure that I changed when I started having kids. And still to this day, both my daughters are grown women. They're in their 30s, and I still tell them how proud I am of them, because I want them to know that I am proud. I don't say it just to say it. I want them to know I'm really proud of them. Even if they became head janitor at a school, I'm proud of you, because if that's where your life and you're happy with it, then I'm damn proud of you.
Yeah.
And tell the grandkids constantly, even at end of every one of their events, whether it's gymnastics or soccer or basketball, I'm so proud of you, given how you did so great, to let them know they did something very special, even if it was tiny,
Because to them it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. And that is one of the things that it took me a long time to figure out during the depths of my wife's addiction. Because when she drank, man, I would do everything I could to nitpick everything. I mean, I would nitpick it, not realizing, and I'll just put it the way I've always put it, I was just pissing more fuel on the fire.
Right.
Not realizing it. It took some time for me to start realizing she's not the one that has the problem. I'm the one that has the problem. Once I started working on that, I started seeing a big change in our relationship. So again, I started realizing, I got goosebumps realizing that's also part of my own self-care.
Yeah.
Because I'm making myself feel better by just accepting what's going on, because I'm the one that's getting irritated with what she's doing. She's not doing anything wrong in her eyes. It's only in my eyes.
And
that she's doing
awareness,
something
that's
wrong.
one of the main, that's just one of a number one rule is self-awareness. When I realized I had an issue, needed to figure out what I was going to do about it, it was when I became aware and, okay, it's time to get your crap together.
That's the hardest step, I believe, is becoming aware and getting out of denial. That is the hardest.
Getting out of your own head, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going to stop for a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. So.
Have you ever been in a car accident? Do you know what to do after being in a car accident? Are the insurance companies going to take care of you? Hi, I'm attorney Rick Heaton with the Law Office of Bobby Udall. I will help you through the process and answer all of these questions. I give every single client my cell phone so they can talk to me whenever they need. Let me deal with the insurance company so you can focus on getting better from your injuries. Call me at 385-330-0226. Again, my cell phone number, 385-330-0226. Don't call the insurance company first. Call attorney Rick Heaton at 385-330-0226.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. We are here with our special guest. Flippin' just went, Kris. Now help me say it properly, because I said it wrong the first time.
Rudarmel.
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 See, if it's yeah.
Oh, Kris.
Rhymes with caramel.
Caramel.
Rudarmel, caramel.
Caramel.
It doesn't matter. You're good.
I apologize, guys. When it comes to a different last name, man, I could
It's hard.
slaughter it. It took me a long time just to how to figure out how to say Richards. So we've been talking about. Oh, I just want to say thank you again to Matter Behavior for our platinum sponsors, guys. Thank you so much, and Janessa again. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
So, Kris, we've been talking about self-love, self-care, and during the break we set some things out here, and it was so nice of you to bring, as Sylvia, who's in the studio, saying your box of rocks. And I thought it's really cool because you said usually when you reach in and you grab something, it really resonates with you, and mine came out as embracing truth. And I thought about it at first. When I first grabbed it, I'm like, no, I really don't think this is anything that's resonating with me. And I started thinking a little bit more, and I'm going, yeah, it really does, resonating truth. And also, I also look at that as just by just kind of letting things be the way that they are, you know. And that is something that I have worked on a lot by realizing I cannot do this alone. You know, and whether some of our listeners want to call it a high God or spiritual being or a higher power, whatever, I believe all of us need that, because we are all so busy doing our best to control what our situations are, when really there's so many things out of our control.
And it really helps to find a power that's greater than ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I never knew how important that was until I went through the food addiction program. And there were women in there that didn't. It was mostly women. There were a few men, but a lot of the women didn't want or didn't believe in God. And it doesn't matter. It can, whoever your higher power, whoever has, some of them used a stuffed animal or a doorknob or whatever.
Yeah.
Just something bigger than you, so that you can turn to them for support and get that inner strength, that inner fortitude.
Yeah, and I like how you said that. My wife went to an AA type meeting. This gentleman that got up and spoke, and he didn't believe in God either, but he did believe that there needed to be a higher power. His higher power was his goldfish.
There you go.
His goldfish. That's what he believed his higher power was. And my wife told somebody once that if you don't believe in the mountain, believe in a rock.
Yep.
Something.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for all of us to, yeah. And again, unless I'm wrong, and correct me, because you've been studying this a lot more than I have, but again, I think this goes back to self-care again. You know, and we were talking before break about getting out of our own heads, and I read a book. I've read it twice, Conscious Creator. And I really started paying attention to my thoughts a lot more, and I still do, and it's really helped me become closer to what, for me, I call it my Holy Spirit. Other people may call it something different, but for me, it's my Holy Spirit. When that voice says, go here, don't do this, do that, don't go there, I really resonate with it. And I'm letting a lot of that mind chatter disappear, because I want to start paying attention to what my thoughts are. And a lot of times when I start thinking of a lot of the negative things, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, I'm catching it. I got to start thinking of something better, something more positive. And of course, our subconscious mind has a way of going, I'll just pull the rug out from underneath you and I'll be right back, because it does that as long as you're paying attention. And again, it still, to me, goes back to all for self-care. When we're paying attention to what our thoughts are, you know, I think that's all part of it.
You've heard that that statistic where we have, whatever it is, the numbers are out there, but like 66,000 subconscious thoughts, and conscious is just the few, but we're basically, our thoughts are coming from, we live with subconscious. Well, I just learned recently that, and I don't know the exact number, but it's like, I think it was like 78%, and it might be higher. 78% of those subconscious thoughts are thoughts from the day before. It's not just that stuff we're dealing with. We're still carrying the day before's shit. Sorry, I'm
No, it's good.
But it's crazy that everything is from our thoughts.
Yeah,
it's
everything.
Crazy.
And one thing that I learned by having Colby on the show from Matter Behavioral, the subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's fake.
Right.
It has no clue. It thinks it, and as far as it's concerned, it's like, okay.
And that's why I mentioned visualization. So I'm a certified trainer with Jack Canfield, and one of his things we've learned is act as if visualization. Yes. And it's what the Olympians do, you know? My friend Shannon Happy, she's an Olympic medal winner from here in Utah. And she gave us the example of before she ever won, she was up on the mountain and she imagined the snow glistening on her nose, you know, the snow falling. I'm going to slaughter this, but imagined acting as if, or visualizing her parents being out there cheering for her for winning. She had all these, every sense, you know, everything, see, touch, all 5 of them. And you sit and act as if you're living, making $100,000 a month, or you're healthy. You know, we get that in there. Our subconscious doesn't know the difference.
No, it doesn't. And
it really works.
Yeah, it really does work. Yeah. But we sabotage it so often. And I've been working on this since 2009. And really, it's been up until probably the last 6 months where it's really starting to
It takes a while
to come in, because I've had to retrain my brain
do.
of almost 59 years of thinking the same way
Yeah.
all the time, and we've got this summit that's coming up in St. George in August, and I've been doing that when I do my meditation. Closing my eyes, I'm picturing myself up on stage in front of 3,000 people telling my story. I'm picturing myself, gosh, for a long time I think I'll never have a house again. I'm picturing myself sitting on my front porch, and everything's energy, right? This desk is putting off energy. Your piece of paper is putting off energy. Everything is throwing out energy, and the universe is listening. It's definitely listening, and we're all part of this big, huge system. And when we can continuously work on it,
and when we plant our seeds,
mm-hmm.
and even though you don't see anything, I watched this in Anchor for 18 years. I don't know what is happening below the ground when the seed's planted, but we just like the trees, you can't see the roots growing, but my gosh, all of a sudden they pop up and they're growing. We just plant the seeds, and pretty soon amazing things happen.
Well, I don't think too, it's one thing to think it and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it's another thing to actually believe it. And I feel like that's when the magic happens, is when you think it and feel it at the same time. Because I feel like with a lot of things, I'm like, oh yeah, I will think that. Or, my husband and I, when we're going through stuff, it's like, oh, that makes sense. And we'll go through the motions of thinking. But it's like something happens. There's that magic. I don't know what else to put it. Where when it clicks and you truly believe it, it's like everything just changes. And it's pretty incredible.
magic.
It really is. It's
It
pretty
is.
incredible. And I think self-care is what gets you there. It gets you to that believing, because you work on yourself. You actually believe you're worth believing in and working on and feeling that.
And deeper confidence,
Yeah.
deeper self-esteem. And we start, one thing that I have my clients do is we make an add-a-girl file. So something that helped me, and now I share with my clients, with my low self-worth, I always struggled on the negative instead of the positive. And so as I've been growing with Anchor over the last 15 years, I would save every single thing anyone said, like every single thing. And I would read over them. And it would slowly, gosh, maybe I am amazing. Maybe I am successful. Because I still don't, but I'm working on my own words and thoughts. But it's amazing when you have this file. I take a manila file, you write "add a girl" on there, and then you can, when you're having a crappy day, you can just pull it out and read what other people have said to you, and you start believing it.
Oh, absolutely.
I've stayed humbled, but I do realize, I'm pretty sure I don't know anyone in Utah that has been recognized, not me personally, but my business also, and Frank, been recognized with 20 awards, especially in the flood damage industry. I know there's not, but it's pretty amazing, to look back and see, and that's what's helped us catapult and get us to the next level.
And I know once you get there too, we have to be careful again. We have to pay attention to what our mind's thinking, because I think we were talking about that earlier, about how that ego starts kicking in.
Oh yeah.
And you're going, yeah, look how wonderful I am, and then pretty soon people are below you, and to be able to stay humble. I've even asked my wife, I'm like, and I'm not going to use the 2-letter word, I'm going to say it differently, but when this podcast is a huge success and it's already started out in that direction, I've told my wife, if you ever see me veer off on the wrong path, you make sure you knock me upside the head, because that's not me, and I don't want to be there. And I think I have a pretty good grasp on it, because at an early age, I've done really well with being promoted pretty quick at jobs, and I've learned very quickly that even at age 17, when I was working construction, my right-hand man was a guy that was 40 years old. I'm 17, he's 40. Wow. And I could have let that really, my ego take over and go, what the hell do you know? I'm 17, man. I'm the boss. But I took it as I respect every single person, and I respected their opinions because I didn't want to be that person. And going through different things in life, I remember seeing people change that would get promoted to management or get promoted in somewhere else, and all of a sudden they just turn into a whole different person. And yeah, we all have to follow regulations, and we have to follow what we're being told as much as we don't like it. As I don't think that's part of the ego thing, but again, I think as long as we just subside ourselves, because how many times do we see that where people they become very popular in a short period of time? And I mean, you and your husband Frank could be looking at that going, look at us, man, we've got 20 plus awards. You know, we're the best out there. But you guys have managed to keep yourself humble, and that's why you keep winning those awards, because you guys are staying grounded still.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of these things, and we've got some stuff out here that I'd really like you to talk about. But this has also really helped you battle with your addiction, right? This has really helped you kind of stay where you need to stay.
The cards. I wasn't aware we were gonna stick those out there, but
well,
I'm good with
that's our producer. She's on top of it, man. she's Brad would have never thought of it, but Sylvia
I just
will.
always bring him as gifts, so that's nice though that you're showing up.
Yeah,
But it's
absolutely.
a perfect example. Well, look there's the believe one. You are worthy, believe it. So every one of these are ones. There's 53 in the deck, and I hand painted them. But back to before I hand painted them and made them, I have these written on Post-its, and they'd stick on my bathroom mirror because I didn't believe in myself, and I had low self-worth. So I made that little phrase, and by God, I was going to change that thought process. And it worked. I mean, there's so many. No playing small. I played small. I just dissipated my last fear level in that energy field. I can't even describe what it was about 4 months ago. I did some more limited belief work, and it finally left. And I usually am in bed sick for 3 days with my diabetes. The numbers shoot up. I eat bad. I used to drink, but now I just eat bad. And today's my first interview that I just got sick about a half hour before and thought, God, let me look at my phone. Did Al cancel? Hopefully he canceled. But before it's 3 days that I'm deathly sick in bed if someone asked me to do an interview or I had a speaking engagement.
Wow.
And that fear level's finally gone. Wow. And
good for you.
You know, I'm still nervous. I'm sure my hair's flat because I'm sweating because I'm nervous.
No,
and I had my
it doesn't
notes,
look like
but
you're sweating.
At least I got in the door and didn't,
Yeah.
Anyway, so all those words, just power of words, they just can change and it's proven we can rewire our thought,
Absolutely.
our brain. So
it's all like our buddy Nicholas Smith from the Tribe of Giants talks about. It's all about unplugging those neurons. They don't have to stay plugged in.
Right.
You can unplug it, plug it into another outlet.
I haven't met him yet, but he
you
did just
haven't?
invite me to his group. I joined his group.
Oh.
So I'm excited to meet them.
Yeah. Nick and Ryan, I bet they'll ask you to come on the show. And they do theirs through Zoom.
Oh.
But
are they in Utah?
yeah, they're here in Utah.
Nice.
Just phenomenal guys. I love Nick and Ryan, and my good friend Nicole Costello is the one that introduced me to them.
Oh, cool.
And Nicole and I met from doing Herbalife stuff from years ago. But
nice.
I am so honored to be with this group, and I do my best to Wake Up with Giants every Sunday at 9 o'clock. They always have guests. They've interviewed people from all around the world. They have some amazing people that come on, and it's just kind of like with Resilience. Resilience Talk Network is about getting through troubled times and coming out on top, and that's what a Tribe of Giants is. It's like too many of us played small for too long, and I'm sure they'll end up sending you a book, and it is a great book. It's almost like a child's type book, but as you get reading it.
Oh wow!
It is so cool. But
awesome.
we're actually have partnered up with them with Resilience Talk Network and a Tribe of Giants. Matter of fact, Nick and Brad just met last week to get some things finalized and get some things going. But just two great people, and they're definitely people you want to get connected with, because we're all kind of looking at life in the, well, not kind of, we're all looking at life in the same way and wanting to make a change out there and help other people. It's like the guest we had on earlier show, you know, he said, if I can help one person, it's all worth it. And it really is, you know. So
can I just tell a cool experience you just saying that?
Absolutely.
I've honestly never shared this. But when I hand painted the cards, I got to think back. It was 4 years ago. And so I went through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And one of my mentors there, I showed her my cards I made. Now, they didn't look like that. They were on, I should have brought the originals. They were on 4x4 and, you know, roughly painted. And I said, I just created these amazing cards. And she came up with this idea, let's do a Kickstarter. And I'm like, oh, hell no. That will put me out there. I am not doing that. And she goes, come on, I'm going to do it all. Oh my gosh, and that's when I was drinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, this just makes me need a shot of something. And so, Kickstarter, I had to do a video, and I was a mess. Like, anyway, I did my 3-minute video. I'm not even sure if it's still on there. Did this Kickstarter. My community backed me within, it was like 23 days. And so it was a successful campaign. I had 30 days to do it in or something. And started passing them out at networking. Just grab a pack, go pass them out. I had a few women. They were Lyft and Uber drivers. I've donated more cards than I've sold, whatever. So cool. But hopefully Frank doesn't see that part. But,
we'll bleep it.
So I go to this networking. Okay, so the week before, I might have actually, back up, I'm terrible at telling stories. On my Kickstarter video, I might have said I want to change 100,000 lives, women and girls. And I did look up the statistics on that Kickstarter campaign on self-esteem and self-confidence, and like the Dove's beauty thing did a report on the girls. So I looked that up. I somehow got that out of my mouth on this video. And at first I wanted to change 1 million lives. And I'm like, oh, holy crap, that's way too many. I'll never hit that. So I did 100,000. And it was I think I was only a month or two in. And I got into Wine, Women, and Business and I'd been passing out cards. And that night I took like 5 little packs, put a ribbon around, and she gave them out as, she drew tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was getting ready to leave, and this lady came up to me, and she was taller than me. And she said, oh my gosh, are you the person that created these? And I said, yes. Okay, I've never told this story, so maybe I think it's okay telling it. I just don't know if I can do it without tears. And she goes, I said, yeah, I am. And she said, well, someone gave me one of these. I'm a waitress at a restaurant at Wingnuts or somewhere over. She didn't say where, but I think she did. I think it was in West Jordan or something. And she said, they gave me this card last week, and it changed my life. She goes, I was ready to not be here. She was ready to be done.
Yeah.
And she couldn't remember what it said on it, but she did have a picture on her phone, and she opened up her phone and showed me, and I said, I would love to set up a one-to-one to get to know you better. And she goes, okay, I'm really busy next week. I said, will you email me through my website? Because neither one of us had a pen and paper. And she goes, I'm trying to remember if that's when this experience happened. Yeah, because I had to sit down. So she's sitting here talking to me, and this room's filled with 45 women, and it's just her and I talking. And all of a sudden, now working with quantum field energy and stuff the last 6 months, I know it was an angelic experience. But I almost fell to the ground. It was this strong force of light and energy that went through me. And I sat on the couch for a minute, and I said, will you for sure call me and let's get... Yes. And so she never did. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if she herself, I'm sure it happened because she was there at this meeting. I don't know. I don't know that much about that kind of stuff. But I got out to my car and had one more experience, one more jolt of something that went through me, energy or whatever, and realized that I had hit my 100,000, changing 100 women's lives. I got that message that was the number.
That was it.
And it only took I think I was 2 months in with those. So it was quite
Wow.
amazing.
Wow.
So maybe I could have hit 1 million, I don't know.
You may have. Yeah.
I've had 400 sets ordered, and I'm almost
my
out.
gosh.
And like I said, I give away more than. So
That's so cool. I love that.
Like you said earlier, words can change so much. I mean, they really can, for good and also for bad.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, especially bad when our inner critic gets going,
yeah.
our mean girl voice.
Mm-hmm.
We got to
Yeah.
keep a curb on that, because mine was, I heard that
Can have a heyday.
100% of the time, and that's why I had body image issues, and you know, I've had eating problems since I was anorexic at 13 or 14, and it can be rough.
It's
Wow.
hard recognizing and even admitting that you have that inner critic. You know, when I first learned about it, I was like, oh, I'm good. And then you start paying attention and you're like, this
really is
voice won't
there.
shut up. Like,
Yeah.
It really
oh my
is
gosh,
there.
yeah. And I have to
No, it's
really fight
crazy.
hard because I don't want it to rule me like it has, you know.
Yeah, it's still, I mean, I can recognize it now, but it's not, it still comes.
Yeah.
I don't think it never won't, but it's all about awareness and
Yeah.
being able to catch it and
And stopping it. And
telling
being
it to shut up or thank you or whatever you want to tell it.
get mad at
My
it.
wife was reading something when we were on the way to the studio this morning that said that shame is the most powerful human emotion that we can have. And I started thinking about it, and I kept running that through my mind so I wouldn't forget. I'm getting to that age now, if I don't repeat it to myself quite a bit, it kind of slips through the cracks or out of my ears or somewhere, I don't know. But I started thinking about it, and I'm like, that is so true. Excuse me, because a lot of our guests that have come on the show who have felt so much shame, you know, and I even felt shame during my wife's addiction because a lot of the mean things that I said to her and kicking her out. And again, this all falls back again into that self-care and that self-love. Gosh, I just got a tickle in my throat.
I think shame and guilt, I think they're I personally feel on the same level playing field, and I've only experienced that. I went through the food addiction program, and because I kept cheating with food, like someone does with drugs, you know, I'd go, this is embarrassing to admit, and being 3 years in, I don't do it now, but it was, once I got in that addiction program, oh boy, did that took over. And I sat in a parking lot of McDonald's. I can't stand their food, but just to I guess be defiant. I learned how defiant I was and manipulative around food and stuff, but just like someone goes to the corner to take a hit of drugs or buy their drugs, I'd go in the parking lot. Kate, why is that so bad for me? Because I'm dying of diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes, and I should not be eating that shit.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah.
and I didn't even eat the whole thing. I took a few bites of the fries, took a few bites of the hamburger, and threw it away, but it was like a hit of a drug. And then I had to deal with shame and guilt. I've never felt so much shame and guilt than in that program. And it really can take you down that deep, dark hole,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
when we're addicts.
Well, and it's we continue to jump on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
You know, because my wife, I don't know how many times where she would be doing everything she could not to drink, especially after she got out of rehab. And finally, it would just take her over. And then she'd drink, and then she'd drink, and then she'd drink, and then she'd drink, and then
And
finally
then you have shame and guilt. 'Cause
go
you
back
can't.
into detox. But then, yeah, she felt guilty and ashamed because she put me through it again. So as soon as she started feeling that, it's like, I don't want to feel this anymore. So boop, right back on the bottle again. And it was like this vicious cycle.
Downward spiral.
Yeah. And I even talk about that in my speaking events. It's the shame and pain is felt on both sides. You know, it affects everyone, you know, because even though yours went from drinking, you know, the beer and then you went into the food, I'm sure it was still affecting your husband in a way to kind of see,
Well,
you
when
know,
I
the
feel
pain
like
that you're
crap
going
because
through.
I just snuck in a parking lot. He
Yeah.
never knew that, but now he'll know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I hate myself for doing that. So then I go home and I'm a bitch
Yeah,
and ornery, and he gets the
blunt of it.
end. Yeah. So it
Yeah.
does affect everybody.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what kind of addiction it is.
No.
That's how I think. It's,
Yeah. Well,
it
my
doesn't
husband and
matter.
I do that. Like when I start getting really snappy, or he does, And we're like, the other one was like, hey, go take a minute, come back and we'll talk about it, you know. But like, that's our new thing now. Instead of just let them and you're like, oh, you know, you get scared, we're like, okay, what's going on? Obviously there's something going on. Go take care of it, you know. Go
take a pause.
Have a nap, go meditate, go take a shower, go do something, you know. And then they come back and they're like, oh, I feel like crap, I'm so sorry, you know. I really am having a hard day. I just didn't realize it till I'm biting everyone's heads off. So
well, and it's that voice.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. When we're with somebody, as long as we've all been with our spouses, we actually kind of give ourselves that it's okay card to treat that person like shit. You know, to verbally abuse them or however.
Because that's how you're treating yourself.
Because that's how you're treating yourself. You know, now I'm trying to remember where I'm going with this. But, again, when we start recognizing a lot of this stuff, so, you know, my wife had an issue with a job, and today we were talking about something and she frickin' got all snappy with me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to frickin' say a damn thing to you. And I just got quiet. I'm just like, shut it off. Now the old me, I would have just kept pounder. So, but she knew now through our work together, she knew that she had upset me. And it took her a little bit, and then she came back, and then on the way to the studio, she goes, babe, I'm sorry. You know, I just realized that with what happened yesterday, I'm letting these emotions kind of take over, and I'm taking it out on you. And we've learned to have that voice to where we have to speak up, because if we don't speak up and let our significant other or even other people know that they had hurt you or they had upset you, how else are we supposed to change that?
Right.
We're going to allow it to continue to happen, and all it's doing is beating ourselves down as well, right? It's
That's something I've noticed is when I don't speak up for myself and then I'm really pissed off. I'm like, oh, I can't believe they did that. And it's like, no, it's because I didn't stand up for myself. That's why I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
And I'm beating myself up. And that's the worst feeling. So a lot of the time I'll put myself through really uncomfortable situations because I'm like, I don't want to beat myself up later and feel like crap for days. I'm just going to say it now, you know.
I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
You know, and I saw my oldest daughter do that with her grandson. We was leaving a soccer game, and it was my granddaughter's soccer game. And grandson, he and I was out kicking the ball and having fun, and we're leaving, and something upset him. And my daughter says, "What's wrong, buddy?" And he's 5, almost 6, but he's, you know, pouting. She's like, "You have a voice. Tell me what's wrong." And he wouldn't. And she goes, "Okay, until you speak up, we're not going to be able to fix it." And I thought, that is so cool of my daughter to do that with the kids at such a young age. It took me till I was in my 50s to figure it out. And I think you were even saying something like that at the start, how it's taken us so long to figure this thing out. But, I mean, a lot of it, too, is just our upbringing. Not anything against our parents. They did the best that they could with what they had.
Exactly.
But we don't realize that we have a voice. And I think it's really cool with what you're doing, Kris, and a lot of other women who have been on the show, because, you know, it's since the beginning of time, women have not had a voice. Right. You know, they're told just to shut the hell up. You listen to what I'm telling you, and you do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
And they're starting to have that voice, and it's helping other women get their voice, you know, in a good way, not in a bad way, but to let them know it's not okay, you know. And there's times, I think my wife said it to me yesterday, I didn't even realize I did it, but she goes, "I don't like the tone of voice you just used on me." And I'm thinking, what tone of voice? You know, I'm getting kind of cocky, and I had to stop and think about it, and I'm like, gosh, really, I did kind of have a tone of voice with you. But she let me know, and she's never had that in a relationship before. If she would have said that in her past relationship, she probably would have got a hand upside the back of her head, or pushed, or something like that. So it's all important. Again, it still falls back to that self-care and that self-love, because we have to respect ourselves in so many different ways.
It's all about self-respect.
Yeah, it's not just having a spa day or, or having your nails done, or having just your painting type thing. It's everything. To me, that's what it is for me. Self-care is everything. My wife and I, gosh, we dated the 3 years and was married for I don't know how long, and of course, I don't like the word shut up. You see it in the movies, you hear it on, to me that is so disrespectful to tell someone to shut up. And it took a long time for my wife, because that's what she was used to. Yeah, she used it a lot, and it's like, look, you will not say that to me again. You will not tell me to shut up. And I think some of it might have gone back in my childhood days with parents telling me. Because how many times, even as parents, not realizing that we're doing it, it's just say, will you just shut up? It's, to me, it's very harming. And it took me again till I was in my 50s to start realizing it, that it's kind of a, it's a disrespecting both of us in a way.
Degrading.
So, degrading, that's the word, yeah. That's why Janessa's here. She pulls me back in. So let's stop for another quick commercial break, and then we're going to come right back. And you've got a retreat coming up, and I definitely want you to share with our listeners about this retreat and whatever else you want to share, and we'll wrap this thing up, okay?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we'll be right back.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street, or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped-style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account. And we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from taffytown.com. We offer prepackaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone, and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit taffytown.com. That's taffytown.com to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Other Side of Addiction. We are here with our special guest, Kris. I'm just going to say it the way I said it at the start. Rudarmel. Perfect. Awesome. I've been practicing, over and over. Again, we want to say thank you to our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral, and again, thank you, Janessa, for being here with us. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Kris, this has been a really good conversation. I like when a lot of our shows, of course, are about the addiction. That's why it's called The Other Side of Addiction. But I also like when we can talk about different things like the self-care and the self-love, because I still think it all falls into that same realm.
Absolutely.
You have become successful businesswoman. And your husband's been a part of it. Don't want to leave him out. You are doing so many incredible things, and I see a lot of the stuff that you do on social media, and every once in a while, of course, you and I, with years that we've done networking, we seem to know a lot of the same people, and names are brought up with different things. But I saw that you had this mini retreat that's coming up in August. And I believe I even reached out to you and said, hey, I'd be more than happy to share it on my social media, which I did, because I want to give as much support to everybody as possible, especially when they've got really good things that's coming up. But why don't you share with our listeners a little bit more about your little mini retreat that you have?
So I almost brought the mandala. The mandala is pretty large. It's about this large. And we paint this during the 6-hour mini retreat. And the price is $167 for 6 hours with me. And the benefits of a mandala, I might be saying it wrong. I've been painting them for over a year. I've been painting for 40 years, but I'm just introducing some new things into my stuff. Mandala, the benefits of a mandala are it activates creativity, boosts your focus, relaxes your mind and body. And here this is. And it stimulates your sense of connection with yourself, and it's fun. So, and beginners welcome. Like, this is really, really, it looks very, very dimensional. There's about 7 layers there, but it's so much fun. And we put powerful words. I have a list of powerful words that you take a paintbrush and paint behind your layers. So it kind of is it's just a fun, intuitive painting. And I had some fun guests last time. We did this a couple of weeks ago, and the next one is August 6th, Saturday. I'll be posting it on social media. I haven't posted it yet, and you can just scan my cool little QR code.
Little QR code.
Yeah.
Those things are pretty cool.
For
They've got
Square
real
and
popular.
make a payment. Yeah.
So how do they find you? Are you just under your name on social
my
media?
name on Facebook, it's Kris Rudarmel, Radical Self-Love Mentor, and that's the same on Instagram, Radical Self-Love Mentor. You can find me there, and I'll be posting that. And then also on my website, I have a free 20-page self-care, magical self-care guide. It's got some doodling tools in there. Doodling and watercolors is what I use to keep my monkey mind at bay.
I like that
because
phrase.
it races. And then I've got an ebook that's like 40 pages, and it shares what's in the freebie plus additional stuff. And that's $4.97 for the ebook.
Wow. You've been doing a lot of work.
Yeah, that's amazing.
A ton
And I
of
still
work.
help Frank with Anchor. We're still running that. It's just Frank and I right now. We're done with employees. That was a rough
Was it
8
a rough
years.
one?
Yeah.
I bet.
So we can give our 100% customer service that we like to give. We based our company on that. So
Wow.
we do that, and then I'm getting this going. So
Yeah, and that's like you said earlier, that's a tough business to be in.
very
Restoration.
tough. And Frank's
Yeah.
needs shoulder replacements. You know, he did a lot of the work himself for the first 10 years, and shoulders are gone. As he's having testing now, he's got a lot of health issues. So just trying to get my stuff
Wow.
going, and we'll figure the other out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, sometimes that's what you got to do, right? Yeah, because I'm hoping the time will come here soon down the road where this is what I'm doing, because this is what
Do you work full time also?
it's kind of like full time. Yeah. So up until about a couple of weeks ago, I was working 3 jobs.
Oh,
And because my wife's had a hard time finding a job because of her past history with the addiction, which is a whole nother subject on
Yeah.
things. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just very blessed. A gentleman that I met a couple years ago, I did a concrete job for, and he reached out to me and he says, "Hey, I'm looking for another employee, and what are you making over this other place?" And I told him, and he goes, I'll pay you $5 more an hour. And I'm like, man. And I says, well, is it going to affect my podcast and my speaking stuff? And he goes, I don't want you to stop doing what you're doing. So he says, think about it, and you get back with me with your offer. And I thought about it over the one weekend and called him up, and I says, this is what I can do. And he goes, done.
wow.
So I get to work on the days that I need to work, and the days like today where I'm in the studio, he's 100% supportive,
awesome.
and
That's so
he
cool.
gave me some time off for Brad and I to go down to St. George and talk to some recovery centers down there about our summit that we're having in August. And he's like, whatever you need to do, Al, you just let me know.
That's a blessing.
So very, very blessed to have that and continue to work on this,
So cool.
and
Yeah.
hoping we can just continue to change lives. And like Janessa was saying during the break, she loves coming here and excited to get here, and for me, this is my therapy every week. It really, really is. It's really good to be here, and just to be around so many amazing people, and
That's awesome.
it's pretty cool. So is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners before we sign off? Is there like any words of wisdom or...
Oh, I did write down some words of wisdom.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad
Look,
I brought
didn't
that
even
up.
know. In my gut yesterday, my intuition's like, you better get your list.
There you
because-
go. I love it.
So I wrote an article magazine for our industry a couple of years ago, and they just asked some of the story and then asked where our success came from.
Okay.
So I had written, whatever you are, be a good one. Be that one person who tries to make the world a better, happier place. And then I have a bunch of bullet points, but I'm not going to read them all. But a few of them are: be of service, volunteer your time, it will enrich your life. Believing in yourself, there's that again. Take a step and roar. Get involved in your community, associations, serving on boards, networking. That is just providing a service
Yeah.
for you and for others. Be grateful. Journal at least 3 gratefuls every single day. I've been doing that for 10 years now.
Wow.
It truly is life-changing when we notice what we can be grateful for.
Yeah.
Embrace risk, be persistent, and do not be afraid of failure.
I love it. That's all some really good stuff.
Yeah.
And I like that you brought up to writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. Like I said, I've got stacks of books that I did that for years, and I've just recently changed
That's
it up. But
life-changing.
if you really, really think about it, and there for a long time I was writing down almost the same things all the time. And I started realizing things. And another thing that I realized, so my dad passed away in February, and we drove down to Yuma to go see him. And they're from here, but they go to Yuma in the wintertime. But when they took the oxygen off of him, and they asked if he needed something to drink, because of course he couldn't be on anything because he was on the oxygen. And he wanted a cup of water and a hot cup of coffee. And I remember sitting by the bedside when he was taking that sip of hot coffee, and he goes, I never ever thought I would ever taste coffee again. And I'm thinking, man, I'm not even grateful that I can get up every morning and have a flippin' cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the tiny things.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And my rule is, in 10 years, you can never list the same thing twice.
Mm-hmm.
So
If you're paying attention, if you're not paying attention,
right.
Yeah.
And just quickly,
Yeah.
I'm statistically I should be dead, but I should have already had a stroke or a heart attack. Uncontrolled diabetes with an A1C of 14. I mean, seriously, you can die at 7. And gratitudes, I'm grateful for my feet, because by God, I shouldn't have any.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get, finally things are coming together, and there must be a reason I'm still here,
Oh, absolutely.
because I shouldn't be, for how I haven't taken care of myself.
Well, and you've gone through everything that you've gone through, Kris, and again, this is just my belief, because your work isn't finished. You're doing all this amazing stuff to help other people, and whether it's your higher power or God or however you want to look at it, I look at it as God. And even Jesus, it's all about service. You're giving service back to others. And it's, even though it's just the smallest way, you're still making a huge impact. That's how I'm seeing it.
And
So
just living the way you are, always trying to be positive and being aware and stuff like that. Like, people really can feel and recognize that, because if it's so absent in their life, they see it and it's like this, oh my gosh, that's so bright,
Yeah.
And you really can see it. It's a huge difference. And anyway, I think it's awesome, because you are changing a lot more lives than I think we all are. We change more than we think.
And the ripple effect.
By that, like you said, the energy we're letting off, the positivity.
Yeah.
When we
even though it annoys people,
Yeah.
too bad. Just go the other way.
Exactly.
Well, and we need to look at it this way too. If we hadn't have gone through what we've gone through in our life, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that we would.
Well, I think people too, like, I've had some people like, why do you do that? And it's like, I've been the other side before, and I know how dark and lonely and scary and horrific it is. Like, that's why I fight so hard,
Absolutely.
It's so worth it.
It is so worth it. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. Kris, thank you for taking time. Oh, absolutely. I know we tried to get you on earlier, but you had a lot of things going on, and you actually picked this date. I said,
and then I wanted to cancel.
Pick Thursday. Pick a Thursday, and you're like, Thursday in June. So
because I tried to go far out because I was scared.
Yeah. Well, we're very blessed, and we're very grateful that
I'm sharing all of this.
That you didn't
so awesome.
Call in sick. And to share all this. So, thank you so much. Guys, again, thank you to all our listeners out there, all our guests, our guest co-hosts, Resilience Talk Network, Modern Behavior. Thank you guys for all your love and your support. As we do at the end of every show, remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, recovery is giving up one thing for everything.